What is up, y'all? It is TK. I'm here representing the Idiots for the Idiot Brewing Company, and thank you guys so much for watching. And I am here today with a very special guest. I want to give him a huge shout out and a round of applause for my guest, DJ Lynx. What's going on, bro? How are you? How are you?
What's good? What's up? I just want to go say Jersey's in the building. That's mainly all I gotta say, bro. NJ in the building, bro. NJ in the building. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta
say. Absolutely. East Coast all the way. We are here today to have a really great conversation that I'm super excited about. But before we get into that, DJ, how about you let the people know who you are and kind of what your history is in Magic, how long you've been playing, cEDH, all of that stuff.
That's actually you're right, man. Maybe I should get into that. So for most people who know me, my name is DJ Lynx. I have been playing Magic for almost 20 years now. Like legit for like a long time. Like I started back in Lorwyn. So that was
okay. Yeah.
I've been playing for like a minute. I've been playing mostly. I love green. That's what big green stompy stuff. I love it. Favorite Magic card of all time is Avengers Undercard, and Commander has been one of those. Commander, well, EDH, because I'm one of them old heads. When I started with EDH, and I'm willing to admit it's kind of hard for me to always say Commander. However. EDH has always been the format that I've loved a great deal. And one of the things that I love the most about it is being able to step into the competitive space and be able to really play in that has been amazing. I've gone and played in tournaments. I've won a few myself, and mostly just been able to really enjoy competitive. My main dude is green, is Kinnan. Big flips, big tricks, big everything. I don't know if anybody's seen Mental Misplay, they see me. I had a video where I talked about that. Big trick. So, but mostly I love Magic. I love what it does for the game. I love what the experience people get out of it. I love whenever I'm able to go joke around with people and be able to like have myself a really good time and just enjoy the game overall is something I love, man. I love Magic, bro. Like I love Magic. I love Magic. Like a fat kid love cake, so I love Magic, bro. I love Magic.
I love that. But and you know, that's something like crazy about Magic too. I've played so many games in a competitive sphere, and there's nothing like Magic specifically, right? Like the multiplayer aspect of Commander there is nothing like it. You know, you can get people to join in together on a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or like, you know, Pokemon or whatever, but the gathering part of Magic, it's really part of the game. Like it's the community that you build and everything else.
It absolutely is. Like you said, I've played Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitive. I've done Digimon competitive, old school Digimon, not the new one that came out when they revamped it. The old school one.
Gotcha.
Again,
gotcha.
I'm old. And Pokemon as well too. Like I've played them. However, there's nothing better than being able to meet up with your homeboys when you guys play EDH. And the jokes, the inside jokes that you would make over the course of the game, the little nuances and where you'll be like, hey, no, he's about to go do this, he's about to go do that. And everybody's like, you know what? It is about that time. He has been doing these few things, so it makes sense that he's gonna pop off and do this thing right now.
Yeah.
So it's part of that. It's that whole environment and that whole coming together and where the nuances of people's personalities truly do indeed make the game that much vibrant and beautiful to enjoy. Like, I don't think there's any other game that allows you to be able to express yourself in that kind of way and allow that self-expression to help you feel validated when you actually like win a game. So yeah. No other game can do it compared to that.
100%. 100%. I completely agree. And it's a unique experience too. Like, we're talking about community and being able to like connect with people and everything. That's our conversation topic for today. Yeah. Like literally, we were just on a whim. I just walked past you guys at the Boil too, and we were able to connect. And you know, it's stuff like that really leads to things and experiences like that. And I can't tell you the amount of times I've met people, you know, just at these tournaments, at events, you know, or even at the game store. Just I'm over there buying sleeves and I'm hitting up a conversation with somebody over some teal dragon shields or something like that. You know what I mean? Like the community really makes this game.
Funny small story that I want to tell
Yeah.
people, because this is like a really dope story. So, whenever, for example, you can go to a game store and meet people and have like a really great conversation about Magic.
Yeah.
I've never been able to do that at work, except for this one time where like I went to Magic 30, the first one, the one back in Vegas. So I got the book bag. So I'm going into work and somebody goes like, "Hey, yo, you play Magic?" And I was like, "Word, I do." And afterwards I start talking to him. Then somebody come out of nowhere and go like, "Yo, you guys talking about Magic?" And afterwards like, "Yeah, we are talking about Magic." And then another person come out of nowhere like, "Hey, yo, you guys are really talking about Magic?" Yeah, and it was the most like exuberant conversation. Mind you, I got late for work. I was a good like 20 minutes late for work because of that. However, the conversation of being able to meet fellow Magic players and talk about that level of passion, that level of exuberance, and just being able to enjoy how much we enjoy the game, it was so dope. Like I walked into work and my supervisor's like, "Hey, yo, you late?" I was like, "Yeah, I know. Why?" "I'll just take it, bro. I'm gonna just take the game." I was
taking on the
I was late.
chin.
I was late. I absolutely take it. I was late. But I can't tell him that I just had a whole 20-minute conversation with a bunch of fellow Magic geeks talking about like all the decks and all the things we're talking about. So it's that gathering that I enjoy so much, and being able to meet various different people and really being able to have fun, man. I don't think there's no other experience like it. So it's why I enjoy, which we're going to talk about, the role I play in that and how I'm doing my best to be able to spread that and also be able to help others achieve that same thing. So
100%. Yeah. Anybody who's a fan of the channel knows, like, the idiots here on the channel, like, we don't just work together. Like, we are best friends, and it's because of Magic that we're able to do that. And so, like, as much as I go up and down with this game, I'm not gonna lie, I get my low points. Everybody does at some point when you do something for competitors. Like I'll never throw it away because it's something that's mean to me. But you already did touch on kind of what we're talking about today. So why don't we delve a little bit more into your community, your role within the community, and kind of why you're here talking today for the people.
Okay, so to put it in the simplest of terms, a lot of times, a lot of people will think about the gathering. However, how do you build a community? How do you foster that community? How do you work on being able to help that community grow? Because, of course, everyone likes the idea of being able to go to their local LGS and be able to play. However, what about those individuals who have an LGS that's like 20 to 30, even an hour away? Or how do you connect with other individuals when there's no local game stores? Like, how do you build a community off of that? And that's something I have done, especially specifically in the competitive EDH space. Like, that's something I've done a great deal. I tell people this all the time. I hate tooting my horn. I genuinely do. However, as far as being able to work on Jersey, like, I've been able to help foster and create the competitive scene there, and where I've helped organize tournaments. I've helped create a Discord, and where we have players who come together being able to play. We pretty much have attracted attention from a lot of other people, places from like New York, Connecticut, Philadelphia, all that kind of stuff. And we've created such a collective community, and where people just love coming around and playing and love enjoying. Whenever people, like, they'll set up times where they're like, "Yo, we want to go to an LGS and be able to go play," or, "Hey, let's hop online and go jam these games on Spell Table."
Mm.
Being like the creator and the contributor of that is my passion, and like that's something for sure that I want to help others do the same thing as well too. Because I know when I first started it, it was nothing. It was just me and my bros. That's it. And funny enough, like, it all started from the group chat. It literally did. It all started from the group chat, and that and from there it became so much more than I would have ever imagined or dreamed. So I want to help others to achieve the same if they can, and if not, show them, or at least show them and point in the direction of how they're able to find that. So
Amazing. I love it. So we're talking today on how to essentially build the gathering around you.
Yes.
And with that being such an important part of, specifically cEDH, as we talk about, just like, let's start with the format specifically, right? Like, we are
Yes,
in a point of expansion when it comes to cEDH.
110%.
This format has grown so much. I remember, like, back in, like, when I was back in college and like people were playing, commander nights on their FNMs. Like, if you were playing cEDH, you had one pod. It was like four people over there to
Yep.
the corner,
Yep.
and over to the side. They were not paying for anything. They just decided to do that. And it was like, okay, cool. Those people are weird. They're playing crazy, combo magic 101. That was the thought. And here we are now, you know, a week or two away from having one of the biggest events, for Magic just happen, and it was a cEDH event in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. And those events of that size are constant. We're having those every single month, multiple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
There's top deck events. There's the Black Lotus Invitational that's coming up. There's so many different ways. So when we look at a format that's expanding like this, I guess a question I would have to ask for you, somebody who knows, how to kind of gather a community, how do you identify the need for that? How do you identify, where a space kind of needs a community? Because, there's Magic players all over, but how do you know when to kind of funnel that in?
So the best way to identify that need is to see how often people are asking the questions, hey, we saw that was a really good idea. Why don't we have that where we're at? Hey, that seems like a really good idea. Why isn't anyone organizing that kind of thing? And that's what it started actually for me and mine. There was a tournament I had gone out to in Delaware specifically, and I had a really great time. I enjoyed myself. And what happened was that I had come back, and it was actually my second tournament. The first one was over in Connecticut, mind you. I rep Jersey, however, I live in Maryland because for work. Don't come for me. But the thing is that, like, as far as Jersey was concerned, like, a lot of people, like, I'm traveling to Connecticut for a tournament and traveling to Delaware, and I'm with my boys in my local LGS, and they're hearing about the stories of how, like, me and four friends, we all went and had gone to this tournament. 3 of us made top 16. Then afterwards, I'm telling them about the next time that we had gone when I was in Delaware. Me and another friend who had actually gone, we made top 16, and they're like, yo, that's so dope. That's like, you have there's so much stuff in terms of competitive. Like, why don't we run a tournament here in Jersey? Why don't we run a tournament here at the store? And a lot of people overheard our conversation, and they were like, yo, that'd be dope. I'd love to get in on that. If you guys were to create a tournament at this store, which was Red Seal Gaming, shout out to Dan. He was the first. He gave me a chance. That's why I got to give him the shout outs. I went up to him and I approached him. I said, hey, Dan, I had gone to this tournament. I ran down the details of everything that went through, and he was like, all right, well, this sounds interesting. If there's a want and there's a need, as long as you're willing to help run the whole tournament, you got it.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, I was like, okay. So once I saw that there were people who were interested, once I saw there was a lot of individuals who said, like, hey, yo, we'd love to be on board. If you create the tournament, we'll sign up. And once you have that, you could do it. The next big thing as well, too, is if you have multiple LGSs, for the ones who live in like a metro area, if there's multiple LGSs and you travel to all of them and you talk about your tournament experience or whatever, or you talk about just cEDH in general, because if there's one thing that I learned about Jersey that was interesting is that, like, there's multiple people who want to play, but they're all separated in different tribes, like the Water Tribe and all the other kind of stuff where, like, they're all separated. Yeah. Like an Avatar. Yeah, they're all separated. So there had to be somebody who had to come in and collectively go like, hey, look, we have this, hey, we have that. And by collectively bringing them all together, it created the community. So if you're willing to ask the questions and ask people, hey, what do you guys think about this? Is this something you'd be interested in? Is this something that you think would work? If you see that, then there's a need. And if there's a need, then it just needs somebody who has to step in and start doing the legwork to go organize things. So that's what I can say in that regard. Because a lot of people at times think that it just magically comes up. No, like there has to be somebody who's willing to listen and hear these questions and be willing to say, hey, if these are all of what the masses are thinking, why don't we give them what we want? Why don't we give them what they want?
Yeah, 100%. I love that you touched on kind of the idea of like even metro areas that have multiple LGSs don't necessarily feel as connected. Because I've experienced that multiple times living in metro areas myself, down here in the South. There's been a ton of LGSs that always play Magic, but it's not necessarily like they're not connected. One, for the simple fact that like LGSs often see themselves as competition, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
I'm trying to. If I'm running a business, of course I want to be the only place that's selling like Magic in a general area. But then you also got people who just have like you said, like different tribes. And so it's like, okay, the people who play Modern, they decide that this is the place that they're going to play Modern, and that's where they stand on, and that's where it's going to be. The different people who are playing cEDH, they decide this is their LGS, that's where it's going to be, and vice versa, Standard, and all this stuff. I feel like that's one thing that I feel like is understated in the community right now. It's kind of how you can be in an area that Magic is booming, but it's not necessarily connected. And so with that being said, I think that's really great to know kind of like how to identify when you kind of need a connecting glue sort of piece to things. So like what, I guess extending on that, kind of what resources would someone need with you having that experience of being like a community leader in that way, a TO and things of that nature. What resources would somebody need if they have identified that need for a community, but doesn't know necessarily what to do, what they need in order to make it done?
So, first off, the one thing you're going to have to know 110% is that it's always going to be a learning process. There's never going to be this, hey, I found this and it's the end all be all. Like, even somebody like myself, I've been doing this for about a year now. The first tournament I ran was back in February, and the first tournament I went to was back in December of 2023. Mm-hmm. So the resources that you're going to need, like, for example, one, finding a judge. Believe it or not, going to a local LGS and finding a judge and being able to at least talk to them and say, hey, look, I'm interested in doing this particular type of event. Where, if you can help me with this, if not, could you point me in the direction of somebody? Next thing as well, too, one big thing I always tell people is that if there are tournaments near you, go talk with the tournament organizers there. Mm-hmm. Go talk with them and ask them questions. I can't tell you how many times I've been doing this for a year. And when I was at the Boyle, too, I was asking all of the tournament organizers questions. Even though I know what I was doing. However, these guys had a lot more wealth of experience than I did in regards to being able to seeing things at a larger scale as opposed to myself where I'm just dealing with Jersey. So that's that. The next thing as well, too, is just willing to go on the internet sometimes. Look, I know people clown Reddit because they think Reddit is like some wild stuff. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I spent many nights on Reddit looking for stuff. You'll find, like, for example, in the competitive EDH Reddit scene, where they'll talk about a lot of the particular things. Sometimes just asking questions is important. And then, as well, too, don't be afraid to go look on different Discords. Prior to making, this interesting story. So after that tournament, my friends and I, of course, we created our New Jersey competitive cEDH Discord. Now, it was modeled after the Philly Discord, which we had already kind of like gotten connected in, and we knew a lot of those players and members, and we had asked one of the moderators, like, hey, look, we'd like to do something like this for New Jersey. Is there any way you could help us to model it and know what we're able to do? And he gave us a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas. And from that point on, we were able to create our own, modeling it after them, however, kind of accommodating for the space in Jersey and the type of players we were dealing with. And from that point forward, it just grew. So the resources off top is usually finding a judge, talking to different tournament organizers, or even talking to sometimes other LGSs. Because sometimes going to an LGS and asking a question, that person who you're asking may not know it, but somebody who's overhearing your conversation will. And I can't tell you how many times that's been something that saved me a lot. Just when you go to places, don't be afraid to network and ask questions. Now, for the people who live in like rural areas, the internet, like I said, is going to be your best friend, because your internet is going to be the place in where you're going to want to find, where you're able to ask questions about, who you're able to ask, and even probably even setting up a Discord. Because sometimes a good example was that through our Discord, New Jersey's obviously is a state, right? There's multiple areas to it. And they had this one part of Jersey, which is closer to New York, that I tried my best to try to find LGSs there. But LGS is obviously, the closer you go to New York, the smaller the space, because things are expensive. So one gentleman who had him and his friends had approached our Discord and was like, hey, look, we may not have an LGS, but we have a group of guys and we play at this particular location. And from that point forward, that became a hub of places and a hub of people, and where I told them, hey, look, we may not have stuff in proximity to this place, but this part of Jersey, you guys can go here. And that's where people collectively met up. So in that regard, if for people who live in rural areas, the best thing you're able to do is just use the internet as a really great resource. Like, really don't be afraid to go ask questions, or even if there's the Judge Foundry. It's this website and where technically you're able to be able to find judges. So if you could find a judge through there on the website, then you can ask him the questions, and that person can either give you the answers or point you in the direction of somebody who can be able to help you find it. So it's really doing the legwork. Because a lot of times, like, even for me, like I said, I'm still learning. So that's the main reason why, there's no end-all be-all to it. And that's why I say you just got to be willing to just ask a crap ton of questions. So,
yeah. I'm so glad that you mentioned Judge Foundry. That is one of my favorite resources. As somebody who's been in this community for a minute too, I've been trying to get. We have so many people at our LGSs and things like that are want to be able to run their own tournaments and things like that and help that. I'm like, okay, cool. We need judges, especially now that kind of in official capacity, the judge school is not necessarily what it should be.
It
and
used
that's
to
a
be,
whole,
yeah. That's
whole other conversation. Those tapped in basic lands are not payment for judges. But that being said, Judge Foundry has been a huge resource, so I'm really glad that you touched on that, because I know that's probably one of the hardest things for a lot of TOs that I hear, being able to find actual judges, people who are actually level 1, level 2s, and so on and so forth. I know for the cEDH sphere, we toss around Baldy at all of these events, you know what I mean? But yeah, and I shout out to him, man. That man is working.
Man. Yes, he is. He is. And I in that space about judges, the one thing that I'm gonna tell people, and I know this as a TO, there's not a lot of judges who want to do cEDH stuff. There's not. Believe it or not, a lot of them. So for most people who obviously are in the cEDH space or may not, or the ones who aren't, I'm going to talk to the ones who aren't or don't know. There was the rules of the game were never created for Commander in mind. So when you create a competitive space, you need to create a new set of rules, which is why they had created an addendum, and that addendum allowed judges now to be able to properly provide good rulings that maintain the board state in a healthy manner while also incorporating the multiplayer aspect of it. Now imagine if you're a judge and you've studied all your years on being able to be a judge, and some guy comes up to you and tells you, hey, here's some more extra rules you need to memorize. A lot of people are like, no. No. Why do I want to do that? I just do this regular stuff. I'm not going to do that. So that's the reason why I think, and this is one of those things, for any judge who's willing to do cEDH events, I thank you so much, because believe it or not,
100%.
you guys are the reason why that this thing is good. because you guys are willing to take on an extra load that most other people aren't willing to do. And that's the reason why Judge Foundry is so important, because I can't tell you how many times like I hit up so many different judges and they're like, yeah, nah, I don't do that. I don't do cEDH, but this guy does. This guy does. So it's why it's always important to be able to kind of, that's one obstacle to keep in mind, but it's not impossible to find it. Next thing as well too is for those judges that sometimes a lot of people, they have their own friend who's willing to go step up. If that's the case, help them out. Point them in the direction of a judge who's willing to at least oversee them and to overshadow them, and from that point forward, they're able to at least move up and become like actual judges and whatnot. Needless to say, I say all this that like there's resources out there, and those resources sometimes require legwork on your part to be able to go look up. And I tell people all the time, look, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter. Just look up DJ Lynx. If you need anything, please don't neglect to go hit me up. I'm gonna let you know this right now. I'm absolutely willing to help any and all people, because I understand when I was at the bottom, I had to do this all on my own. So I gladly would want to help out anyone who needs the help on that. So I'm also a resource. I'm not gonna say like, I'm not just gonna talk here and tell you, hey, here's this. If you need more help, holla at your boy. I got you. I got you.
Hey, bro, I appreciate that. That's, people like you are definitely what makes this community go around, and the reason why this format is expanding so much. And like talking about how judges don't want to do cEDH events, I've never seen something so real in my entire life. Literally, the last weekend, the idiots, we went to this tournament out in Cary. Super fun, great event and amazing. But I watched the light go out of the TO/judge's eyes when he had to. He was went to a pod and there was a Notion Thief out, and then somebody copied it, right? And so there was two, and so he was like, "Okay, cool. Like, you guys know how two Notion Thieves were." He walked off, and I watched as everybody in that pod had a Notion Thief, and he had to explain what happens when you have all the. And he was just out of it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, brother."
Yo, no, and this is why I say shout out to judges, because. So, interestingly enough, I just ran an event over at the store that I'm talking about, Red Seal Gaming. It's the third time I ran it for the year. And I almost didn't fire that event because I couldn't find judges. Yeah. I had to go reach. Luckily, first off, I want to thank Maxwell Melinari. He's one of the judges who works at a Ripper Ship at New York. He was able to come and help me out with that. And another judge named Rob, I'm gonna butcher his last name, so I'm not gonna pretend like I'm gonna be able to say it. But he had came out as well too, and he helped me out as well. And those, for the judges, there's not many, but for the ones that are here, I think it's always important to, when you see them, thank them, because they're doing a thankless job. They're doing something that it's coming from a place of passion. Yes, they're getting paid, but they're not getting paid like a crap ton of money. They're getting paid enough for them to be there and to compensate for what they're doing. However, at the same time, just coming up to them and giving them a thank you is important. Just don't be the guy who goes like judge and get mad at him for giving him a ruling. Understand he's coming to be able to help maintain the board state and create a fun experience for everyone, and he's doing it from a place of passion. So just thank him, bro. Just please, just thank him. I thank my judges all the time. I really do.
Absolutely. With that, though, you did touch on kind of some of the issues that people face when it comes to TOing and community building. So kind of what else, when people are like experiencing like their own growth in their space, should they be wary of? What are some kind of like issues or like obstacles you ran into, when you were growing your community that people should probably look out for?
All right. I'm gonna keep it a whole buck with you guys, and I'm gonna be 100% real. There's always gonna be setbacks. As a person who I do this for passion. I do this because I love it. I do this because I want the growth of the community to reach a point where not only do we have a ton of individuals playing, but we also have a collective cohesion to the game. Sometimes that's not always a reality. You will have individuals who will come into this space, and because of their personality, the way that they want, the way they consume the game, the way they interpret the game, the way they even their expectations of the game sometimes may not align with what you're trying to do. And it's not anything you should take personally, because at the end of the day, people are people. We have various different individuals who live out throughout the world, and you're not always going to get along with everybody. It's just the nature of things. So one of the biggest setbacks that I had to go deal with was that. So after following the story, we created our Discord. We're inviting people left and right. I had gone to Punt City 3, inviting people, and people were like, "Oh, yo, you New Jersey got a Discord? Oh my God!" Like when we were finding out people who lived in Jersey and they don't get the opportunity to go to LGSs, right? But they heard about Punt City and they're like, "Yo, New Jersey got a cEDH Discord? That's so dope!" And I'm going to other LGSs and I'm putting people on and I'm letting them know. For a while, there was just certain people who just didn't mix well. There was just certain people who they would come in and they'd be abrasive. They kind of had like this mentality of who they were as individuals that didn't add to the cohesion of what we were trying to do. And the reality was that sometimes so I'm an admin on the Discord, right? I also have I have another friend of mine, shout out to Dan. He's another admin. He's the guy who literally made it. I do all the legwork in terms of doing the publicity. He does the actual real admin work, building things and doing all that stuff.
For sure.
And then afterwards, I had some other mutual friends who pretty much are moderators, right? So whenever there's an issue with stuff, I had to be the one to step in because I have a lot more of the more personable personality to approach somebody and be like, "Hey, look, bro, I understand what you're doing. Nevertheless, I don't think that that's right. I think maybe there's a better way to handle it." I had to step people aside and DM them and talk with them at great length about certain things. And it's not like you're doing this to reprimand them. Instead, what you're trying to express to them is that this is a community. And sometimes there's just certain people who've had a very lone wolf mentality because they come to an LGS, they play a few games, they win, and they leave. They don't necessarily stick with the cohesion because the way they're consuming the game wasn't meant for the gathering, it's for the competition. So sometimes you have to be mindful of those people and you have to be okay with being either possibly talking with them and addressing with them or asking them to leave.
Awesome. So we talked about kind of issues, kind of where you started, how you got there. What are some other things, if anything at all, that we've missed that people need to know when they're trying to build their community? What are some resources people should use? I know we talked briefly about Discord, Judge Foundry, their local LGS. What are some other things people should know that we haven't really touched on?
It's gonna take time. I think a lot of times people have a vision of things, and I'm willing to admit I was one of them. You have to be okay with knowing that it's gonna take time. The speed, there's a phrase that says comparison is the thief of joy, right? I know certain people would think, "Oh, well, they had got this to work and they were able to get this so quickly. Why is it not working for me?" Don't worry about it. Trust the process. What you're doing doesn't have a timetable because you're building a community that's supposed to remain indefinite. You're building something that's supposed to grow and continue to grow. And growth is never measured by this one particular thing. It's only measured by it's measured by by small little moments along the way. So if you spent 2 or 3 months trying to go organize a tournament, that's fine. If you're creating a Discord and you see people aren't joining as quickly, that's fine too. If you find yourself, where you feel like you're doing it all alone, that's fine as well. I was fortunate enough, like I said and mentioned earlier, a lot of these ideas in terms of creating the tournament, our Discord, all these particular things all started in a group chat. all started in a fellow group chat of mine, which I wanted to take the time out to go shout out my guys like that, Omar, Noam, Dave, Franklin, my boy Mike, everybody, all those guys. Those are like cool, keen people who for sure that like I appreciate, and these are the people who, whenever it is that I'm dealing with something, or if I'm ever trying to kind of come up with an idea, they're a great soundboard. And I'm fortunate enough that like these were friends who I had before doing this, and they've stepped into that space and being able to help me with this. So the biggest thing that I want to be able to highlight is that your tribe of people and who you're going to come with, it takes time. That's one of the reasons why it's important that you should never think that there's an expectations. Remove expectations. Do what you can to be very mindful and be able to say, hey, look, I want to be able to do this, and don't create a timeline. Just create goals. Once you see that the goals are being obtained, however long it takes, believe it or not, will show you that you are still dealing with growth. Because it's not instantaneous. It takes time, and it takes a lot of things for it to fall in place in order for it to be able to work. So that's the main reason why I tell people, just it takes time. It takes time. Like I am very fortunate and very blessed. I say this with 100% sincerity that the growth of our community has grown a lot. I work with 3 different stores, creating with some tournaments. As of today, which is November 21st, I'm actually one of the stores had invited me to be as an influencer over at Eternal Weekend, hoping to be able to get cEDH up in that space. It takes time. It really takes time. It takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of good things to happen as time goes on in order for it to really see the results of your labor. It's okay for you to be in those spaces and where you're going to just have setbacks and things are going to take time. There was also a point in time where I had some people leaving the Discord because of what we were trying to do in terms of our goals. We had people leaving, and yet later on, those people came back. So you're gonna have those times. I genuinely love what I do in terms of what I do for the community. I love being able to host tournaments. I love being able to have, whenever people are going like, yo, DJ, yo, when's the next tournament, yo? Or like, hey, DJ, when's this? Or when's that? Or yo, DJ, I love the Discord. I love playing with people online. I've invited people from my local space here in Maryland, and they love playing on my Discord rather than going to their LGSs. Like, I would never. I have people who play in Philly. They tell me now, I want to play on your server more than I play with my own, and I'm like, for real?
Crazy.
Yet that wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't me trying to push. That was me just trusting the process, and trusting the process allowed for those kind of things to happen. So it's what I mainly got to say on that. Just trust the process and know that things take time, and be okay with the setbacks, because the setbacks are always going to be part of life, man. Always.
100%. Man, I just want to say, just from this conversation and the conversation that we had at the Boil too, it's very much, you can absolutely see like your love for the community, your passion for this game and everything, really shine through. So I 100% see that and truly want to appreciate you for what you do to the community. So thank you for that.
No, look, if I'm being, I love cEDH, I love Commander, I love being able to go play with my boys.
Well, I appreciate you coming to talk with us today. Any last comments or anything before we sign off?
I want to first one. I mentioned a bunch of different things, but first, of course, I want to thank all of my friends and all the people who I've met along the way, who's given me a lot of motivation and support, a lot of people who always thank me and give me my flowers when need be. I'm willing to admit, like, I didn't think the impact I've done and given for the community, I would have never thought it reached to the heights that it is now. Like, again, I don't like tooting my own horn, because I really don't. I'm a like guy who loves to eat his humble pie, because I don't like the limelight. However, for what people do and how the way they help and how the way they keep motivating me, I thank you. I also want to be able to highlight and let people know the New Jersey cEDH Discord. We play in jam games all the time. You want to talk about different deck ideas. You want to talk about different things, all of which that you're able to have fun about. Please, by all means, I hope to be able to go put that some relevant information for you able to find that out.
Yeah, it'll definitely
Also
be
want
down.
to be able to do shout out to all my. I want to shout out to all my friends, of course. Shout out to all my peeps. And yeah, man, just NJCDH, boy, we in here. So all I gotta be able to say is that NJ, we in the building. That's all I gotta be able to say. So
10,000%. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming and talking with the people, sharing the
I
nuggets of wisdom.
Bro. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely, of course. Well, that's all we got for you guys today on the Idiot Brewing Company. I have been TK. That has been DJ Lynx. We appreciate you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all of those good things, and we will catch you next time. Peace.
Latest.